This podcast is brought to you by Voice and Vision, bringing help, hope, and healing to individuals, families, and communities affected by mental illness, addictions, and disabilities in southeastern Pennsylvania.
Welcome to Untold Valor, a podcast with a unique focus on veterans, featuring stories of courage, recovery, perseverance, and strength. Listen to hear veterans share their perspectives on what it's like to battle mental health challenges, combat addictions, and overcome other adversities unique to those who have served.
Time once again for another edition of Untold Valor, Veterans Recovery and Action, and we're very excited to talk with Vanessa Morbeck here today, a U.S. Army veteran and author of Unseen Unheard Soldier, and a motivational speaker, and really going to talk about, as a trauma. She's dedicated to empowering survivors of trauma and a single mother as well, so we're going to look forward to her conversation. Reverend Ben is here as always. Reverend Ben, how are you, my friend?
I'm fantastic. How you guys doing today?
Doing great. Looking forward to talking with Vanessa. So let's bring her in and hear her story and talk with her about what's going on with her. Vanessa, welcome in. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here and to be a part of your guys's and just being acquainted with the Reverend through Miss Kwanda, who does amazing things as a veteran in the community that helps women veterans too. So that's how we got acquainted.
Fantastic. Yeah, excellent. We're glad to hear those connections are going on. We always kind of start things off, Vanessa, wherever you're comfortable. Tell us a little bit about you, how you got to, where you're at with your time in service, things of that nature, and, just share your story.
I did serve in the military. Like I said, I served in the military. Mm-hmm. I served 5 years. Then I got medically retired as an E4 for what they called an adjustment disorder, which realistically just meant like post-traumatic stress disorder. Mm-hmm. But if they gave it that label, then they would have had to compensate me higher. So that was kind of like a threshold that the military uses, a word or like a disorder for them specifically to say that, okay, we no longer need your services. You're quote unquote unfit to us. Just because I had been assaulted and I reported it and tried to stay within the system and keep my career in the service.
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah.
So, in your time, did you want to stay in the service before this happened, or was it something that you felt was a good fit for you prior to the event, or was it something that you didn't see yourself doing for long?
No, I wanted to do 20 years. I wanted to outrank my stepdad and my dad and my grandpa because they are like sergeant and below. So I thought maybe that I could outrank them and have this own legacy of my own, being the first female in the family to be in the military.
Yeah, and certainly that that goes a long way with a lot of folks, especially when it's a family tradition. Unfortunately, you went through a traumatic event. First of all, how are you doing now, and what kind of resources were you able to reach out to anything to kind of help you, or how did that look?
I had 15 sexual abuse cases in the Army in a 5-year time span.
Oh, wow.
From basic AIT to Korea, my first duty station in Seattle, Washington. I think that then I kind of just had to work within the system, and it was very, very isolating because no matter who you told, no matter what type of care that you try to get in the service, there's always different people's opinions of you, and they decided to all tell each other. So it made my career very difficult to even trust and confide. And I felt very betrayed by the end of it that, I didn't really have anybody to go to. And I had to really just deal with those consequences myself because I was considered, how do you say, not a whistleblower, but I was considered black tape, disregarded. And They tried to do everything they could, even after the first 2 reports in Korea, to just try to chapter me or say I don't belong or that I don't fit, take my jobs away, takes my ranks away, not let me get promoted, not let me go to the Soldier of the Month board. It was just this whole slew of, negativity.
Kind of felt
I just had to keep
blacklisted.
climbing. Yeah, blacklisted. That's the word.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. So were you able to find any support?
No, not really. I mean, I had a few NCOs or supervisors that kind of still treated me as a regular human being and kind of at least gave me the basic respect. But partly it was their job, but partly they cared. But that was it. I had maybe a few select, maybe 4 people in the service at the time that I could have confided on. And I still have some of those people today, like my Sergeant First Class, that was my first Sergeant First Class in the Korea, my main one that helped me through most of those incidences. Mm-hmm. She helped me a lot. I still keep in touch with my old commander from my first duty station. He became a colonel and then he retired recently. So they even tried to come to my first bodybuilding show last weekend in Texas because they live and reside over there. So I went to Houston to do my first 2 bodybuilding shows. and they wanted to come up, but they had different circumstances. But if their circumstances weren't there, they had planned to come and see me.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was seeing that in your bio that you talk about bodybuilding quite a bit. Is that a process that you used for yourself? That helped you as well, kind of work through your own, traumas?
I would think so, but then, yeah, I mean, I'm so grateful and excited that I'm so much more fit now, and I love my body and I appreciate it. And it took a long time from those incidences then to kind of tap back into my body and learn to love myself and learn self-care and learn that I matter despite, I don't like getting emotional about that, but despite going through those circumstances. So it just took like a decade pretty much to really focus in on myself and get to this point to want to be a bodybuilder competitor and help my mental health too.
Yeah, well, that's the key, right? Is finding something. So, so fortunate and glad that you were able to find something that you can move forward on. Ben, I think you were starting to say something. Go ahead.
No, I was just listening to Vanessa, her experiences, and what I'm hearing is you in the military, you were a soldier, but you fought a different battle. You fought an internal battle within the army, which it makes you a soldier set aside from the others, if you ask me. And I believe that your story, your strength, and experiences can be beneficial to other female veterans who are listening in.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think that too. Even male veterans, or any person in the service can go through MST, is what we call it. So I'm so grateful that I have that book out there, and it happened and came about in a time in 2020 when COVID was around.
Okay, yeah.
I had a really bad suicide overdose incident when I was trying to get care for PTSD. And they shut everything down. They put me in a civilian hospital instead. They over-medicated me on way too many medications, like 9 different types of medications.
Oh, wow.
And told me if I didn't take those medications at the time that I wasn't allowed to leave the hospital. So I kind of just had to go through it. But every corner, something contradicted with something medically. And it was just making my mind go in so many different places that I ended up overdosing on all 9 bottles of them and a bottle of Korean liquor when I got out.
Wow. So, how'd you pull yourself back up? I mean, obviously it sounds like you're working on it and you're work in progress. I think we all are, but what motivation did you find to help you get moving in the right direction?
My daughter, I have a 10-year-old daughter. At the time she was 5, I think, or maybe between 3 to 5 years old. And she was in the foster care system or with the foster mom at the time, but not in the system due to me not being able to have constant housing and work. And then her dad as well being active duty. So just being able to see her and parent her and know that I have responsibility to maintain myself on this earth in order to be a parent to her. Even now I'm going through struggles with trying to get consistent work and then fight to get 100% disability, to even caring for her at times or caring for myself. I'm so much in the hole right now. It's not even funny. I've lapsed on 3 months worth of bills to the point where I could lose my car, my apartment, the phone bill, things like that. So I got to get back on track with that. So every now and again, I do face hurdles like that, but I always seem to pull myself out of it because I want to be a constant force in my daughter's life.
And I think that's where Ben, and you can probably attest to this as well, similar to some struggles you've seen, is that's where you've got to find something that motivates you to move forward, right? And I think that's what a lot of veterans do struggle with.
I believe that sometimes through our pain, we find our purpose, Through our pain, we find our purpose. And I believe that, Vanessa, you have found your purpose in spite of the adversities you experienced, things you've been through, and you come on the other side as an asset to those who are currently or may in the past experience some of the things that you had.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to thank you very much for your openness and your willingness to share your story.
Yeah.
From a spiritual aspect, how would you, from a godly spiritual point of view, a Christian point of view, I'm not sure what your nomenclature is there, but you are a reverend. So how would you incorporate this all if you were to put it together now, as from what I went through, what I'm going through, still currently, and where do we see it going through this? And if I can keep pushing those demons back and not get to another critical point where I could want to take my life again. You know what I mean? It's always a constant struggle.
I hear you. And I can identify with what you're saying because I also have PTSD. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of hard sometimes to not look in the rearview mirror. It could be a sound. It could be a song, a smell that takes you back to that moment. But one thing I have found that if I keep my eyes going forward, okay, because there's opportunity in front of us. And like I said, your pain can, present your purpose, which in my case, it happened as a man of God. I wasn't always an ordained minister. I wasn't always who I am. I've been in some dark places. I've been in some bad places and done some bad things. But I kept my eye, though I looked in the rearview mirror from time to time, which I'm still working on that, I push forward to the high calling. I go forward to reach my destiny that God has for me. And God has something for you, for everybody else that's listening in, and walk into our purpose.
True.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, well said. Life is tough, and we all struggle to find different places to go. We asked you before we got started, Vanessa, one of the taglines, if we have some of the information here in your bio, talks about resiliency, and you asked it back to us, what does it mean to us? It means different things to different people, but you have to just keep moving forward. And as Ben said, you've got that purpose to take care of your child and to better yourself. Then you turn to bodybuilding and you turn to things to get yourself feeling positive. And obviously, we commend you and support you in that.
Thank you so much. I'm just tired of struggling, even with getting basic work. I get jobs and then I get fired. I get jobs and then something medically happens with my trauma, or they don't understand how to work with a disabled veteran with PTSD, or I get panic attack or something out of another. The job inconsistency and the housing inconsistency and food insecurity is just, I think at this point for me is an ever bending thing that just is a category of what it means to be a veteran with this type of trauma. There's always that backlash there. It's always a constant push between doing the right thing to getting money to make sure I eat and my kid eats, to just maintaining that resiliency. I look resilient on the outside, but I'm very confident on the outside. And I'm so muscular and I'm so strong, and people see what they view. But as they say with K-pop Demon Hunters, I really like that movie. Those patterns are still there, or those scars are still there. And as much as I try to counterbalance them with how I look on the outside, sometimes, I have to let what's inside of me come out, and try to process it in a better way, and just maintain that safety for myself and my daughter. Because I want nothing more to yes, be utilized by God as a tool to help people with what I've been through. But it has to start with just keeping consistency, and I'm just tired of not having it, or only having it for certain chunks of life. Say about 3 years now, and then now starting to lose it and having to pick it up and find it again. It's extremely frustrating. So I do lose hope, and I'm not always resilient the way people view me, despite everything I've gone through.
Have you tried to turn to some of the resources that are out there, Vanessa? Even Reverend Ben and his resources at Computer Core and Quanda you talked about, and Voice and Vision. They're here to help.
Yeah, I do have Quanda. I guess I could reach out to her as well. And I was going to ask Mr. Reverend Ben about if they had different agencies in the area.
Yes, and I believe that God makes no mistakes, Vanessa. That He puts you in the midst of us right now for the betterment of you and us, because you have a lot to offer. You have a lot to bring to the table. Your cup is not half empty, it's half full, and you're going to be overflowing before you know it. Just keep on a positive path and take advantage of those around you.
Roger. Thank you, guys.
Well, I think we'll close out the podcast here, but I certainly think we want to have you hang on and chat, and we'll talk a little offline here and try to get you some resources to talk to, Vanessa. At the end of the day, people, you got to have some help, and you're not alone. So that's the point of things like this. So if you need some help, please reach out to a service and get started today with someone. We'll have links in the descriptions below. We appreciate your time here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Untold Valor by Voice and Vision. We hope you found the information and resources discussed today helpful. As always, thank you for listening and for your support. Remember to stay connected with us through our various social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Don't forget to visit the website, voiceandvisioninc.org. That's voiceandvisioninc.org, where you can sign up for our blog and find free resources and information on upcoming events, webinars, workshops, and get support. You can also access our free help and hope guide for individuals and families struggling with substance use and addiction. If someone you know is struggling, please reach out for help, because you and your life matter. Remember, the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is available to you at any time by dialing 988.
We are all ambassadors of hope and recovery. And if you want to share your story, please contact us. Compeer Corps is also looking for veteran mentor volunteers and veteran participants. To find out more information about Compeer Corps, please call 610-541-0790. That's 610-541-0790. You can find all the links and contact information for the resources mentioned on today's episode by checking the description and the show notes section of your app. Thank you again for tuning in and for your support. Until next time, this has been Untold Valor.